He bought a house for his mistress before our wedding. I smiled. He had no idea it would end tonight. I remember standing in front of that white cottage by the lake. The one he said was a surprise for our future. The autumn air was crisp, carrying the scent of pine and wet leaves. He held my hand that day, his eyes warm, his smile steady. But beneath that smile was a secret. And beneath mine was a storm waiting to rise, because what he didn't know was that I already knew. Everything the house wasn't for us. It was for her, his mistress, and tonight, at our wedding rehearsal, everything would change. Hey, everyone, welcome back to Love and Lies, where we tell real stories about love, betrayal, and the strength that comes from heartbreak. If you love stories that make you feel something deep inside, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. Leave a comment below about what you would have done if you found out your fiancé was living a double life. When I first met Ethan, he was the kind of man every woman dreamed of meeting. Charming, funny, always smelling like cedarwood and fresh rain. I was working late nights as a nurse, exhausted, worn out, and lonely. He walked into the ER one night with a sprained wrist and somehow walked out with my heart. We fell fast, the kind of love that makes you forget logic, that makes you believe in forever again. He sent me flowers every week, called me just to say I miss you, and showed up outside my work with takeout after my 12-hour shifts. I used to think love looked like that: little gestures, big promises, and someone who made you feel seen. So when he proposed on a snowy evening surrounded by fairy lights, I said yes without hesitation. He cried when I said it, actual tears. I thought, this is it, I found my person. But love, I learned later, can be the perfect disguise for betrayal. 3 months before wedding, I noticed something strange. Ethan became more distant. He'd take calls in another room, delete texts, and suddenly had work trips every other week. But what really caught my attention was his money. He was spending a lot: new suits, a new watch, fancy dinners I wasn't invited to. He brushed it off, said it was for business. One night, I found a real estate brochure in his briefcase. It was for a 2-bedroom lake house outside the city. The description said, perfect romantic getaway, private, quiet, ideal for couples. My heart sank when I asked him about it. He smiled and said, it's for us, baby, a surprise honeymoon gift. But something in his tone didn't feel right. It was too smooth, too rehearsed. I've worked in healthcare long enough to recognize when someone's lying. The human pulse changes when you're hiding something. And Ethan's pulse was running wild. A week later, while he was on a work trip, I drove out to that lake house. My stomach twisted the whole way there. The drive was peaceful, tall trees, open sky, but my heart felt heavy, like it already knew what I was about to find. The house was beautiful: white walls, blue shutters, a swing on the porch, and parked right outside in the driveway was a red convertible I'd never seen before. I remember my hands trembling as I walked up the steps. I wasn't sure if I was ready to open that door, but I did, and inside, I saw her. She was young, maybe mid-20s, wearing one of my sweaters, the one I'd been looking for weeks. There were pictures on the mantel of her and Ethan smiling, hugging, holding hands by the same lake where he once promised me forever. It felt like my lungs collapsed. I couldn't breathe. She looked up when she saw me, startled, and whispered, you must be Mia. My name on her lips made me dizzy. She said she didn't know about me at first, that Ethan told her I was just a friend, but when she found out we were getting married, she said she tried to end it. He said he'd leave. You after the wedding? She admitted, crying. Those words hit harder than a slap. Leave me after the wedding. Not before he was going to marry me, play husband, smile for pictures, and then walk away. I left without a word. I drove home in silence, my tears blurring the road. I didn't tell anyone, not my mom, not my best friend, because I wasn't ready to be pitied. I wasn't ready to be the woman who got cheated on before her wedding. Instead, I planned. I kept smiling, kept pretending I went through the motions of the wedding prep, tried on dresses, picked flowers, laughed during rehearsals. Ethan thought he was safe. He thought I didn't know, but the truth, I was just waiting for the right night. The wedding rehearsal dinner was held at his parents' estate, a big, beautiful home filled with laughter, music, and the smell of roasted chicken and champagne. Everyone was there. Our friends, our families, the people who'd seen us as the perfect couple. Ethan was glowing, joking, toasting, holding my hand for show. Every time he looked at me, I smiled back, perfectly calm inside though. I was done halfway through dinner. I stood up. The room went quiet. I raised my glass and said, "I'd like to make a toast." Everyone turned to me, smiling. I looked right at Ethan, to the man I was going to marry. I began. "And to the woman he bought a house for before our wedding." The clinking of glasses stopped. Someone gasped. His mother froze mid-bite. Ethan's face drained of color. I reached into my bag and pulled out the printed photos. The ones from the lake house, him and her kissing, holding hands, the address printed neatly on the bottom. "I found your surprise," I said softly. Laying them on the table, he stammered something about a misunderstanding. But no, one was listening. The silence was louder than any scream could have been. I smiled one last time and said, "Dinner's great, shame it's our last one together." Then I walked out that night. I didn't cry. I packed my things, called off the wedding, and blocked his number. He showed up at my apartment a week later, begging for forgiveness. He said he'd made a mistake, that he loved me, that the house meant nothing. But here's the truth. Love isn't about words, it's about respect. It's about showing up, staying loyal, and not needing to hide. And once someone breaks that, no house, no apology, no promise can fix it. Months passed. I moved to a new city, started over. I found a small apartment near the water, and began volunteering at a women's shelter. Every woman there had her own story. Some of betrayal, some of heartbreak, all of survival. That's where I learned the real meaning of kindness. Kindness isn't pretending everything's okay. It's not forgiving someone who shattered you because you're scared to be alone. It's giving yourself the chance to heal. It's choosing peace over revenge, light over bitterness. Ethan taught me that lies can build houses, but only love builds homes. One day, I got a letter. It was from her, the mistress. Her name was Laura. She thanked me for not humiliating her that night, for walking away with grace. She said she'd left him soon after, that she'd finally seen who he truly was. She ended the letter with a line that stayed with me. Sometimes it's the woman who walks away that teaches everyone else how to stand tall. It's funny, I thought that night at the rehearsal was the end of my story, but really it was the beginning of learning how to love myself again, to trust again, not someone else, but me. And now, when I drive past that same lake house on quiet weekends, I don't feel pain anymore. I just smile, because that house, that lie, that heartbreak, it all led me here, to peace, to freedom, to truth. So if you're listening right now and you've ever been betrayed, cheated on, or made to feel like you weren't enough, remember this: you are enough. Their betrayal says nothing about your worth. It only reveals their emptiness. Kindness isn't weakness. It's power, the kind that lets you walk away without burning everything behind you, because sometimes the most powerful revenge is not hate, it's healing. Thank you for listening to this story on Love and Lies. If it touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share it with someone who needs to hear this today. Leave a comment below. What would you have done if you discovered a secret like this before your wedding? And always remember, in a world full of lies, let your heart choose love, because love, real love, is never a lie.